Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into some absolutely amazing, super practical wisdom from the biblical text, specifically looking at Proverbs chapter 21. Whether you're 8, 10, or honestly even a lot older, we all make choices every single day, right? Some are huge, some are super small. But if you were stopped to wonder what's really going on behind those choices, well, we're going to look at some incredible, timeless wisdom that's literally just as useful for your life right now as it was thousands of years ago.
So think about this for just a second. Have you ever been completely convinced you were making the right choice, but deep down, maybe you knew your reasons weren't exactly the best? Maybe you offered to help your little brother clean his room, which sounds super nice, right? But really, you only did it because you knew your mom was watching and you kind of wanted that extra cookie after dinner. We can so easily trick ourselves into thinking our ways are totally perfect, but who really knows what's going on the inside?
Well, the biblical text tells us that God understands exactly what's going on inside us, even when literally no one else does. Your friends, your teachers, even your parents, they might only see what you do on the outside. They just see your actions. But the text tells us that God looks way, way deeper than that. He sees the very center of who you are. He knows your true thoughts, your hidden feelings, and the real reasons why you do the things you do.
Think about a king for a second, right? A king is super powerful, he makes all the rules, and honestly, he usually does whatever he wants. But the text tells us that even a mighty king's heart is completely in his hands. It says, "In the Lord's hand, the king's heart is a stream of water that he channels towards all who please him." That is so cool, because if God can guide a powerful ruler just like a farmer guides a gentle stream of water to his crops, he can easily guide yours too. He is the one who gently leads us exactly where we need to go. We might walk around thinking our own ways are perfectly fine, but God actually, quote, weighs the heart to see our true motives. Imagine a scale, kind of like the ones you use to weigh fruit at the grocery store. God is basically putting our true intentions right there on that scale. We might say things like, "I didn't mean to break the rules," or "I was just joking around," but He weighs the truth of those words. He absolutely knows if we're being genuine or if we're just making excuses to get out of trouble.
Now here's what's really fascinating. He actually prefers us to do the right and fair thing from the get-go, rather than just going through the motions to say we're sorry later. Back in the day, people would offer sacrifices, giving something super valuable to God to show they were sorry for messing up. But the biblical text tells us that just doing the right and fair thing in the first place is way more acceptable to Him. It's kind of like when you're mean to your sibling and then just quickly mumble sorry without really meaning it, just so you can get back to playing. He would so much rather you just be kind and fair to them from the very start.
Okay, let's shift gears for a minute and look at what the biblical text says about how we tackle stuff like our chores or homework. Because, let's be real, sometimes we all just want to take the easy way out. But the choices we make when it comes to our everyday tasks, they really, really matter.
The text talks a lot about the plans of the diligent. Now, diligence is a pretty big word, but it simply means being a hard worker, carefully sticking to your plans, and not giving up when things get tough. Imagine you're building a massive block set or trying to finish a really tricky math worksheet. Being diligent means you sit down, you focus, you try your absolute best, and you see it all the way through to the end. And the biblical text promises that this kind of careful effort leads to profit, which basically means it brings wonderful results and some really great rewards.
So, it's a super clear choice. Working hard definitely pays off, while haste, which means rushing or taking sneaky shortcuts, well, that just leads to having less. Think about it. If you rush through your chores just so you can go play video games, you're probably going to do a messy job and just have to do them all over again, right? Haste makes waste. The text is totally warning us that trying to speed through life without caring about doing things well will eventually just leave us with nothing to show for it.
And hey, speaking of sneaky shortcuts, the biblical text warns that getting ahead by using a lying tongue is just a fleeting vapor and a deadly snare that will eventually trap you. Now, what is a fleeting vapor? It's like a puff of smoke from a campfire. You see it for a second, you try to grab it, and poof, it just vanishes in the wind. If someone lies or cheats to get the best toy or to win a game or just to get out of trouble, that win is not going to last. It disappears like smoke. And even worse, it's a trap that's going to catch them in the end.
All right, let's dive straight into our next big theme, doing what is right.
Every single day you have dozens of little choices that act kind of like arrows, pointing you down one path or another.
The biblical text tells us that the way of the guilty is devious and tricky, but the innocent choose to be upright and honest in how they act. Try thinking of a devious path like a twisted, dark maze full of tricks and dead ends. People who feel guilty or do wrong things usually have to sneak around, hide, and act all tricky just to cover their tracks. But the innocent? They're upright. That means they stand up tall and walk a straight, totally honest path. They don't have to hide a single thing because they're doing the right thing.
The text also gives us this really strong warning. It says the violence of the wicked will drag them away simply because they refuse to do what is right. It's a huge reminder that bad choices actually have a way of capturing people. When you just keep refusing to do the right thing, those bad choices become like a super strong current in a river, just dragging you away from safety and happiness. It is so much better to just choose the right thing from the start.
And that brings us to our final theme, living peacefully with others. This is all about how we treat our family, our friends, and our neighbors based on what he wants. Because, doing the right thing isn't just about finishing homework or following the rules. It's mostly about how we treat the people right next to us.
Now this next part paints such a funny picture. The biblical text literally says, better to live on a corner of the roof than share a house with a quarrelsome wife. A quarrelsome person is someone who is just constantly picking fights, arguing about every little thing, and always being grumpy. Can you imagine choosing to go sit outside on a hot, slanted, totally uncomfortable roof just to get away from someone arguing inside? The lesson here is for all of us. Definitely do not be the person who makes your house miserable by constantly arguing with your parents or picking fights with your siblings. Be a peacemaker instead.
We also learn about having haughty eyes and a proud heart. The text explains that acting stuck up is like an unplowed field of the wicked that only produces sin. Haughty is a funny word, but it basically means acting stuck up, snooty, or walking around thinking you're way better, smarter, or more important than everyone else. The text compares this proud attitude to an unplowed field. If a farmer doesn't plow his field and take care of it, what grows? Weeds! Just a bunch of ugly weeds. A proud, stuck-up heart only grows bad actions, which is sin.
So, we obviously want to completely avoid these negative behaviors. The text notes that the wicked actually crave evil and give their neighbors absolutely no mercy. Craving evil means you actually want bad things to happen, and giving no mercy means you're just mean and refuse to forgive people when they make a simple mistake. Instead of craving evil or giving no mercy, we need to do the exact opposite. We want to desire good things, be super quick to forgive our friends, be peaceful instead of quarrelsome, and keep our hearts humble instead of proud.
So as you go about your day, whether you're playing with your friends, sitting in class, or helping out at home, really think about the choices you're making. Remember that he truly sees what's on the inside of your heart. Are you acting in haste, or are you being diligent? Are you being a peacemaker, or are you always arguing? He weighs your heart with so much love and wants the absolute best for you. So when God looks deep inside your heart today, what do you hope he's going to find? Keep that question right there in your mind and let it guide you to make some truly awesome choices today.